This is Jerry. Welcome to Solar Insider USA. Today, I'm going to talk about a couple things. The first thing we're going to discuss is what net metering is. It's a critical thing for you to know if you're deciding to go solar. And unfortunately, there is no one-size-fits-all introduction to net metering. It depends on the utility, the state, the city. There's a lot of factors. So we'll discuss that more in depth. And then the second thing we're going to discuss is what are some options besides purchasing. So there's three typical options available depending on where you live, what state you're in, what city. And those are to purchase, to buy outright your system, to do a PPA, a power purchase agreement, or a lease. There are some significant differences in what that means to lease versus a PPA versus buying. Those things we're going to discuss here in this video. So net metering, first things first, what is net metering? Net metering is basically the agreement that you enter into with your utility to buy back any excess solar that you generate. So if your system overproduces or creates excess energy and it goes to the grid, then you get a credit from your utility. You can see the graphic that I have up here. It just kind of works that, hey, if your system is overproducing and producing a surplus electricity during the day, the excess energy goes to the grid and you get a credit. If your system is underproducing, or as the sun goes down and you start pulling from the grid, then the meter reverses and you pay for that electricity. There are a lot of variables that have to do with net metering. Some utilities don't allow net metering. That doesn't mean you can't do solar. It just means that they will not pay you for any excess energy. Some utilities will do a one-for-one buyback, meaning that if you're paying 8 cents a kilowatt hour for electricity, and you have a credit that you're getting the same credit, you're getting 8 cents a kilowatt hour. Some utilities, for example, in Utah, one of the utilities here, Rocky Mountain Power, they pay about 6 cents out. So they sell to you for a little over 8 cents a kilowatt hour, but they pay you your excess energy in about 6 kilowatt hours, which means that basically they're getting about a 2 cent kilowatt hour profit for doing nothing. Some utilities, like I said, they don't do it. They will allow you to do solar, they just don't give you credit. It's very difficult to justify the expense of some big solar systems because if there's no net metering available. The other thing that you need to know about net metering is, when does it recycle? Almost every utility recycles or resets their net metering agreement yearly. So in Utah, for example, the main utility, Rocky Mountain Power, they reset in March. So any credits you have going into March, you basically lose. They take those credits and they actually give them to people that are underprivileged. Without your permission, they just do it. Some utilities will take whatever credit you have at the end of that year cycle and cut you a check at whatever the net metering agreement is. Some utilities just do month to month. So if you have a credit this month and a credit next month, you build up the credit, but then you would lose it again. Or, once you needed the credit, let's say going to summer months, you would just do month to month, and it never resets. It just resets month to month. So it's very critical for you to understand how the net metering works for your utility before you decide to go solar. Now, purchase versus lease versus PPA. First thing to understand is that some states do not allow PPAs or leases. They only allow you to purchase your equipment. Usually purchasing requires a significant debt. For a 10 kilowatt system, you could be looking at, in the $25,000 to $35,000 range, depending on if you're paying cash or if you're doing a loan through one of the loan companies that generally services solar projects. A lease is just like that. You have a company that comes in, puts the panels on your roof, and then you're leasing them from them. It's a guaranteed rate per month. It doesn't really change. A PPA is similar to that in that you are allowing another company, an outside third-party company, to come in, put panels on your roof, and then you're going to buy that electricity from them for 20 years, 15 years, 20, 25 years, whatever it is, at a certain price per watt. And that price per watt does not change. So you would always pay, whatever it is, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, 7, 8, 9, 10 cents a watt or kilowatt hour that's produced. So if your system produces more in the summer, you're going to pay more for the electricity. You might have a credit, but for the most part, you're just paying for the production of the panels. And so your bill will fluctuate up and down a little bit depending on the productivity of your panel. So what are the downsides of it? Well, number one, with the lease and the PPA is you don't own the equipment. A third-party outside company owns the equipment. It also means that any credits, tax rebates, tax credits, things of that nature, utility rebates, anything like that that is available to solar users go to the company, not to you. So you don't get to claim the 26% tax credit right now. In 2023, the federal tax credit goes from 26 to 22%. So in essence, if you pay $10,000 for a solar system, then you can claim a $2,600 tax credit on your taxes, for example, in 2020. If you do a lease or a PPA, you don't get the credit. The third-party company gets the credit. Some utilities have incentives to go solar, $1,000, $2,000, stuff like that. Rebates, stuff like that. Again, in most cases, if you have a lease or a PPA, you don't get anything like that. You don't get those. Those go to the company. So, any clean energy incentives, anything that has to do with tax credits, those all go to the third-party company. So just some things to think about. In some cases, in some states, you don't have an option. So it's not a big deal to worry about. California has several different options as far as leases and PPAs versus buying. So you just need to be aware and do your due diligence and really kind of what is it you want to do. Do you want to shell out the cash or get a loan for $30,000 so you have a guaranteed rate for the next 25 years? Versus I'm going to do a lease where I have a guaranteed rate, but I don't have to go into debt for $25,000 or $30,000, or a PPA for the same reason. You're probably going to pay less per kilowatt hour from the PPA third-party company than you would from your utility, and you will see savings long term. You just don't get any of the tax benefits or rebates or anything like that. So anyway, hopefully this video was insightful. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section. And as always, please click the subscribe button and the like button and help me grow my channel. Thank you.